Today we're digging into a topic that affects way more people than you might think. I'm going to walk you through the 7 surprising signs of emotional unavailability, and I'll also share how to break free from these patterns so you can finally build the deep, authentic connections you deserve. Sign number 1, difficulty expressing emotions. Picture this. A friend asks you, "How are you really doing?" And instead of being honest, you automatically say, "I'm fine," even when you're not. Does that sound familiar? Many emotionally unavailable people struggle to name, express, or even share their feelings. Not because they don't have them, but because doing so feels uncomfortable, maybe even unsafe. Psychologists call this alexithymia, the difficulty of identifying and describing emotions. But in everyday life, it just shows up as shutting down, deflecting, or keeping everything inside. The impact? Others never really get to know the real you. And deep down, that can feel isolating. Sign number 2, keeping relationships surface level. Do you ever notice yourself being the master of small talk? You can talk about movies, sports, work, the weather, basically anything. But when the conversation shifts to personal feelings or deeper topics, you quietly back out. On the surface, it looks like you're easygoing and fun, but underneath, you might be avoiding intimacy. The truth is that meaningful relationships require depth. If most of your connections stay in the shallow end, it might be a sign you're unconsciously avoiding emotional closeness. Sign number 3, avoiding vulnerability. I know, vulnerability is scary. It means showing your soft spots, your fears, your needs. And for emotionally unavailable people, it can feel like standing on a stage without armor. So what happens? Instead of opening up, you put on a mask. Maybe it's humor. Maybe it's always being the strong one. Maybe it's keeping things light and casual so no one gets close enough to see your wounds. Vulnerability doesn't mean weakness. Research by Brené Brown actually shows it's the birthplace of real connection. But if you're emotionally unavailable, your brain might tell you it's a danger zone, when in reality, it's the very thing that allows trust, intimacy, and authentic relationships to grow. Sign number 4, sending mixed signals. One day, you're warm and affectionate, texting back quickly, being engaged, showing that you care. The next day, you pull away. Maybe you don't respond at all. Maybe you go quiet. This push-pull dynamic can confuse people around you. And usually it's not about playing games. It's about fear. Fear of being too close. Fear of losing our independence. Fear of being hurt. So you lean in and then retreat. Over time, that inconsistency makes it hard for others to trust your presence in their lives. Sign number 5, hyper-independence. Don't get me wrong, independence is a beautiful thing, right? Being able to stand on your own 2 feet is healthy. But when independence turns into isolation, that's when it becomes emotional unavailability. It sounds like, I don't need anyone. Feelings just complicate things, and I'm better off on my own. While society often celebrates this kind of rugged self-sufficiency, humans are actually wired for connection. Studies in psychology show that strong emotional bonds are linked to better health, resilience, even longer lifespans. So independence? Great. But cutting yourself off emotionally? That's not strength. That's self-protection in disguise. Sign number 6, fear of commitment. Commitment means investment, and investment means risk. So if you've been hurt before, your brain might scream to you, "Stay safe, don't tie yourself down." But the problem is that when we avoid commitment out of fear, we also avoid the chance to build stability, trust, and long-term connection. Sign number 7, emotional numbing. Instead of feeling your feelings, you distract. Netflix binges, endless scrolling, overworking, even over-exercising. Anything to avoid sitting still with your emotions. This can create the illusion of peace, but underneath, those unprocessed feelings build up. And when we numb sadness, we also numb joy. Those are the 7 signs of emotional unavailability. If some of them sound familiar, don't panic. Awareness is the first step. Sometimes emotional unavailability starts in childhood. Maybe you grew up in a home where showing your feelings wasn't really safe, or expressing your needs got met with rejection or punishment. It makes sense that over time, you learn to shut those feelings down to protect yourself. Other times, it comes from heartbreak or betrayal. After something painful, it's natural to think, I'm never going to go through that again, and put up walls to keep yourself safe. It can also show up during stressful seasons of life when everything just feels overwhelming. Emotionally checking out can feel like a way to survive. And then there's the influence of culture or even gender expectations. Messages like real men don't cry or strong women don't need help. They can quietly teach us to avoid vulnerability, even when we desperately want connection. Being emotionally unavailable doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's a coping mechanism, something that you learned. And just like anything learned, it can be unlearned, which moves us nicely into how to break free and build emotional availability. One of the first steps is practicing self-awareness. That could mean journaling, talking with a therapist, or even just pausing during the day to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Next, start small with vulnerability. You don't have to pour your heart out overnight, or like my therapist used to call it, verbal diarrhea. You don't have to have that. It can be as simple as sharing a little worry that you have with a friend, admitting when you're stressed, or even saying, I'm not sure how I feel right now, but I'm going to try and figure it out. Those little steps matter. Building emotional literacy helps too. Instead of only saying you feel good or you feel bad, try expanding your emotional vocabulary with words like anxious, hopeful, lonely, or content. The more precisely you can name your feelings, the easier they are to understand and manage. And you can head to thefeelingswheel.com for some help coming up with more specific feeling words if you need that. Remember, this isn't about flipping a switch. It's about taking small, consistent steps. Over time, the walls that once protected you can slowly come down. And in their place, you'll start building bridges. If you saw yourself in any of these signs, take it as an invitation, not a judgment. It means there's room to grow, to heal, and to create deeper connections than you've ever had before. Here's my reflection question for you. Maybe you could journal about it. Which of these 7 signs resonated with you most? If you want, you could drop it in the comments. You never know who else you might help by sharing. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I've got more videos on emotional growth, self-awareness, and building healthy relationships coming your way. Until next time, remember, it's a process, not perfection. Every step you take toward emotional openness matters.